Grounded for Life was a sitcom that aired from 2001 to 2005, lasting 5 seasons. Why the fuck doesn't anyone talk about this show? It makes me so upset because this show was so freaking amazing. A great show. Was it before its time or something? I'm talking a sitcom that differs from other sitcoms by a mile long. This was my shit. So sorry for my language, but this show deserves so much more. Created by Bill Martin and Mike Schiff, the show followed the lives of Sean and Claudia Finnerty, played by Donal Logue and Megan Price, a young couple who had their first child as teenagers and were now navigating life with 3 kids while still figuring things out themselves. The show had a unique, flashback-heavy storytelling style, a solid mix of traditional family sitcom humor and a bit of edge, and a strong supporting cast, including Kevin Corrigan as Uncle Eddie. Despite these strengths, it never quite broke through in the ratings or became a long-term classic in the sitcom landscape. But why? What made Grounded for Life struggle to find mainstream success, and why isn't it brought up more often when discussing forgotten sitcoms? Let's break it all down. First, one of the biggest reasons Grounded for Life struggled was its inconsistent network support. The show originally aired on Fox but was canceled after 2.5 seasons due to low ratings. It was then picked up by the WB for the remainder of its run. However, switching networks is almost always a risky move. Shows that move networks often lose a chunk of their audience, and Grounded for Life never fully recovered. Fox and the WB had very different target demographics. Fox had a broader appeal with more mainstream sitcoms, while the WB leaned toward teen dramas and family-oriented comedies. This made it difficult for Grounded for Life to fit in. Another major factor was competition from other sitcoms at the time. When Grounded for Life debuted in 2001, TV was packed with hit sitcoms like Malcolm in the Middle. These shows either had massive network backing, long-standing audiences, or unique formats that made them stand out. Grounded for Life didn't have the mainstream appeal of Malcolm in the Middle, or the strong network support of that 70s show. It was easy to get lost in the shuffle. The show also had some tone and identity struggles. It wasn't a typical family sitcom like Full House or Home Improvement, but it also wasn't as edgy as some of the more mature comedies that were gaining traction in the early 2000s. This put it in an awkward middle ground. It had a sarcastic and somewhat offbeat sense of humor, making it feel more in line with single-camera comedies. Even though it was filmed in the traditional multi-camera format with a laugh track, this mix may have made it harder for some audiences to connect with. And then there's the WB's inconsistent promotion. When the show moved networks, it didn't get nearly as much of a push as other WB sitcoms like Reba, What I Like About You, or even Sabrina the Teenage Witch, which had already established itself before switching from ABC to the WB. The network seemed to treat Grounded for Life as filler content rather than a flagship comedy, which hurt its long-term growth. Now, let's talk about why Grounded for Life isn't mentioned as a forgotten gem more often. One major reason is the lack of syndication and streaming presence. Many sitcoms gain a second life through reruns. Just look at how Friends, Seinfeld, The Office, and That 70s Show have continued to thrive thanks to syndication and streaming. But Grounded for Life never had a strong syndication run, meaning it was never rediscovered by younger audiences. While it has been available on some streaming platforms, it hasn't had the kind of resurgence that other early 2000s sitcoms have enjoyed. It also didn't have any major pop culture moments. Some sitcoms remain in the conversation because of iconic episodes, memorable quotes, or major guest stars. Shows like How I Met Your Mother and Scrubs had plenty of these. While Grounded for Life was consistently funny, but never had that one signature moment that stuck in the cultural consciousness. Another reason is that none of the cast members went on to become A-list stars. Donal Logue is a talented and respected actor, but he never had a breakout role that put him on the level of someone like Bryan Cranston, who went from Malcolm in the Middle to Breaking Bad. Megan Price had a solid run on Rules of Engagement, but again, not a major mainstream breakthrough. Kevin Corrigan has been a great character actor for years, but none of them became household names. Compare that to That 70s Show, which had Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, or Malcolm in the Middle, which had Bryan Cranston's later success boosting its legacy. The lack of a big post-show breakout meant that Grounded for Life didn't have a natural way to stay in the public eye. So, was Grounded for Life overshadowed? Absolutely. Between network struggles, tough competition, an unclear tone, and lack of mainstream appeal, it was always fighting an uphill battle. It was too traditional for edgy comedies but too offbeat for mainstream family sitcoms. The time slot changes and network shift only made it harder to gain traction. But despite all of this, Grounded for Life is still a sitcom worth revisiting. It had a more realistic depiction of young parents than most sitcoms, showing the struggles of raising kids when you still feel like a kid yourself. The chemistry between Donal Logue and Megan Price was fantastic, and Kevin Corrigan as Uncle Eddie added a lot of comedic edge. The show also did something unique with its flashback-heavy storytelling, which made it stand out even if it wasn't always recognized for it. And while it may not have had major cultural moments, it did have some great episodes and hilarious running jokes. If you're a fan of early 2000s sitcoms and missed Grounded for Life when it aired, it's definitely worth checking out. It may not have reached the heights of Friends or The Office, but it had its own charm that made it special. So, what do you think? Did Grounded for Life deserve better? Have you seen it, or is this the first time you're hearing about it? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into underrated TV shows.